Hey, hopefully this one works. This is take two. My name is Ryan Holman. This is season 10 of LFE Hoops. Want to thank you and welcome you along for the ride here as we get ready to go with season 10. Just a heads up, if you're new to the organization and if you're new to youth sports in general, I want to let you know that this is a little bit different. Not every organization goes through and does something like this. I appreciate your time. I'm going to try to get through as many of these first week tips and important game day, protocols and situations that we need to get through because everyone needs to be on the same page. So we want to make sure that this playing experience and this learning experience for your kids is the best possible thing that we can give them, and we got to partner with you to be able to do that. But in order for you to partner with us to do that, you need to know what the expectations are, and you need to know just kind of how we do things here at LFE. We refer to this as the LFE way, and we think it's the way. We think it's the way to create a really good environment and a really productive environment for our kids to be able to have awesome opportunities to grow and develop as young basketball players and as young ladies too. So let's do it. First week considerations. This will really be a tone setter for the entire year, which is why we take a lot of precautions early in the year to make sure that everybody's on the same page. If this might be your player's first time playing. If that's the case, she's going to be nervous. One thing that I would suggest to you to tell her is that that's good. Everybody who plays and everybody who participates in these games is really nervous. I've been coaching middle school basketball and youth basketball for 20 years now, and I'm nervous before every game. I'm nervous before every practice because it means something, and it's if you're nervous about it, then that means that it's important to you, and that's a good thing. Um, Tell your kids it's okay to be nervous. Tell them that once the game starts and once the ball is up in the air and things are happening, they're not going to have enough time to really think about being nervous to even really for that to be a factor on them. You can establish expectations for them with playing time. Just let them know that they're going to play, at least one quarter in each half. They'll play roughly half the game. That means that for the other half of the game, they'll be sitting on the sidelines. During that time, we ask that you don't try to speak to them or approach them. Once you drop them off to their coach, whether it be practice or the games, then they're the coaches. The only exception to that rule would be if you see that your player got hurt. We are very much in support of you coming and checking on your player if she gets hurt. I would let the coach figure that out first, and if the coach seems to need you and need your help, then you can go and tend to your player if your player ends up getting injured in some way. Aside from that, though, we really encourage the girls, especially when they're on the bench, to watch the game very closely. We think there's a lot to be gained from watching the game and listening to their coach and listening to the things that their coach says to the other players. There's just so much to be learned every week just as you play. And so we strongly encourage that. We also encourage them going crazy and cheering like crazy for their teammates and for really anybody who's on the floor. If anybody makes a really great play, that's one thing that you'll hear me say time and time again is that we cheer for everybody here. Everybody wears the same colors. There's a reason why we all wear the same uniforms. That's symbolic of the fact that we are all on the same team, one LFE family. That's not something that we just say as words. Like that's really the philosophy here. And so that's a big thing just for starters. Remind them that basketball is a really tough game. They're going to have to, they're going to have to be physically tough. They're going to have to be mentally tough. And so are you, as you're going to watch them maybe get banged around a little bit and beat up. I do get emails from parents after game days. Like, my daughter was pushed. She was shoved. She was scratched. And I kind of respond to those emails like, yeah, that's what happens. That's the game. Both my daughters play. Both of them have scars and battle wounds from playing, and obviously there's a line that is crossed in terms of like physicality and rough play, and something being a dirty play, and it's up to our refs to handle those situations. And we'll talk more about what to do if you feel like something happened during the week that you feel like you need to address or have us address. We remind kids to control the controllables. The only thing that you can really control is how hard you play. One thing that I really preach as a coach is I don't really care about the score. I don't really care about whether we win or lose. I care about us giving max effort. The only real requirement that I have as a coach for my players to play for me is that we're going to play harder than the other team, and that's something that we pride ourselves on. That's an orange and black sort of toughness thing, and just keep that in mind and help your player just focus on that, focus on their effort, focus on their development and things like that. Just be mindful of your responses to maybe a mistake that they make and your responses to adversity, because that will really set the tone for your player. We want your player to feel really good about what they're doing. They're going to make mistakes. Playing mistake-free basketball is impossible, and so when that happens, we want them to get on to the next play. So we have what's called a next play philosophy. That's part of Jay Billis's book on toughness. The wall behind me is all of the different tenets of toughness, which is in my classroom at school, and something that I really, really think is important for kids. It all talks about mental toughness. So the idea is that if you make a mistake, then we want to get on to the next play. Don't worry about the last play. The last play is over. You can't do anything about it. And we can't let the last play impact the next play. So we ask you as parents to adopt that next play philosophy also. If your child makes a mistake, or if your child gets banged around a little bit, and they happen to look to you, which kids will do at times, our suggestion would be to look at them, to smile, and just tell them, next play, next play. You got to worry about the next play. What already happened is over. Next play philosophy. Week one, we ask you to get there about 15 to 20 minutes early. Uniforms will be distributed at that time. Our LFE team is working tirelessly to get jerseys separated and sorted. There are 600 jerseys that need to be separated by team. It's an imperfect science for sure. And so we'll do our best to get those uniforms out right at the beginning. Coaches will arrive a few minutes early. They'll get to the scorer's table. At the scorer's table, there will be jerseys. The jerseys will be given to the coaches and the coaches only, and then coaches will distribute those to the players. If you want to take pictures and things like that, that is a great time to do it right before the game. A lot of times after the game, things get a little crazy as the transitions happen. And so if you want to get a picture of your player, picture of the team, then I would take care of it then. Just be mindful when you walk into the gym that there's a game going on. Most likely we have games scheduled every hour on the hour, and so our schedule is important. We ask you to please stay out of the way of the game that's going on, and players and coaches should be ready when the buzzer sounds to take the floor and to start the transition from one game to the next. We ask that only coaches bring basketballs to the game. I know that sounds weird. We're a basketball league. Why do you want us to not bring basketballs? A lot of reasons why we don't want you to bring basketballs. One, we don't need 15 basketballs in the gym when two will do. And basically, this comes down to things that'll happen during the game and us not wanting random basketballs in the hallways, random basketballs, being shot during timeouts. Those are all things that are that are not part of our league. So we ask again that only coaches bring basketballs to the games. And yeah, again, like I said, we have a lot of good reasons why that's important to us. Uh, while your child is playing, what we ask you to do is to just preserve the environment. The most important thing in LFE hoops is the environment in which your daughters play. We want this environment to be as positive as possible. I don't know how much time you spend in gyms or at fields and things like that, but the culture of youth sports is broken. People really do feel like because they pay their money, that gives them the right to abuse officials and talk badly of coaches, talk badly of the other players on the team and things like that. Those things are all things that are completely against everything that Lady Falcons Elite Hoops stands for. So we're going to ask you to help in that situation. Some things are non-negotiables in our league, and if these are things that are difficult for you, and if you show difficulty in being able to uphold these things, we will gladly offer you a refund and to ask you to find somewhere else for your daughter to play basketball, because these things to us are just not negotiable in any way. The first thing is that you may not coach your player from the stands for any reason. You may not yell any sort of instructions to them about what they should be doing. No yelling, shoot it, get the rebound, but none of that. None of that. There's again a pretty huge body of research on this, and as kids have been talked to and children have been asked how they feel about their parents coaching from the stands, I can tell you that we've never had a situation in which a child has turned and looked at their parent or looked at a grandparent or looked at somebody who's just yelling from the stands and said, hey, thank you, that coaching really helped me there. I have, however, seen a second grade player playing in her third or fourth game ever come across midcourt, stop her dribble, and then have about 10 different voices from the stands yell different things like shoot it. She was like a step over midcourt, people yelling shoot it. She had picked up her dribble. People are yelling dribble, dribble. She knows that she can't dribble because she picked up her dribble. And just yelling a whole bunch of things. And what she ended up doing was none of those things. She ended up basically hugging the ball, bending over and crying. And I walked over to her and asked her, if she was okay. And she looked at me and said, tears in her eyes, Everybody's yelling at me. Everybody's yelling at me. So please be mindful of the fact that as these girls are playing, there's a lot of things going on. There are a lot of decisions to be made. There's a lot of information to process, and for especially our youngest players, it's extremely overwhelming in silence, in complete silence. That would be completely overwhelming. So you need to make sure that anything that you offer to the kids who are playing in the gyms is encouragement. Coaches coach. Coaches do the coaching. A lot of times, that instruction that comes from the stands is contrary to what the coaches want to. And if you're sending mixed messages to your kid about, you want them to do this, but their coach wants them to do something different, that's a really bad position to put your child in between two adults who they want to please. And so we strongly, 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 strongly encourage you. In fact, we demand actually that you not coach your kids from the stand. This is one of those things that if I'm refereeing and you see me in the gym and this is a problem for you, I will most certainly address it. Probably the first time that you say something. Fans cheer. That's your role here. So coaches coach, players play, fans cheer. They don't yell instructions. They don't yell criticisms to the referee. They don't do anything like that. Having said that, we don't want to scare you into not talking. We don't want the gyms to be silent. We want you to value the effort of every single child. We want you to praise great efforts and give props for great efforts. A girl saw a pass, but she threw the pass 15 feet over the girl's head. The fact that she saw it though is great, and it's something that we want from our players. Great idea, great idea. We praise great efforts along with great results. We would encourage you to praise the little things, praise the pass. Praise the passer. That's one of the biggest things that we can encourage you to do. A lot of focus on scoring. People go crazy over baskets and stuff like that. That's not really a great tone to set. Cheer selfishness, cheer hustle plays, cheer great rebounds and traffic, like stuff like that is the good stuff of basketball. So moving further down my slide here, you may not challenge or complain about calls. No sarcasm. If anything, you should understand that the people who are refereeing the games, they're members of our community. They're members of the Lady Falcons Elite Hoops family. They sacrifice their time on the weekends to come and make sure that your kids have the opportunity to play by officiating those games to the best of their ability. They're going to make mistakes, and they know that. And I ref games almost every weekend, and I think about every single game and think about the fact that I've definitely made I miss calls, and things like that. That's it bothers me more than it bothers you. So just know that. It sets a really negative tone in the gym if you are complaining about calls, if you're whining about stuff. Again, we ask the adults in the room to be the adults in the room, and that means that you have to handle adversity. That means that you have to accept things that don't make you happy, and that is called leadership, and that's what we're looking for here in our league from the adults. I would also suggest to you that sometimes people complain about things and they don't know the rules. And so I think that it's important for you to know that our clock is going to run up until the last 2 minutes of the half. Even on free throws, the clock runs. The clock will continually run. So just make sure that you're not addressing our scorers or anything like that. Our girls who do the clock and our guys who do the clock, a lot of them are middle schoolers and high schoolers, and I'm sure that they know the job and what is asked of them better than you do, because we do a good job of training them and making sure that they know what they're supposed to be doing with the clock. So, there shouldn't be a situation where clock is running. Like, we're not doing that, and we don't do that here. And so just be mindful that during the game as a fan, you're never to address a coach during the game. And again, unless your player is hurt and you need to talk to the coach about, that injury. You're not speaking to the refs in any sort of negative manner at all. You're certainly not yelling to our scorekeepers, like I said, most of whom are teenagers or preteens. None of that. Again, it just sets a negative tone, and that's the exact opposite of what we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to keep the gym as close to perfect as we possibly can. And just continued stuff during the game. If you bring family members to the game, you need to make sure that they're aware of all the information that I'm going over right now, especially just code of conduct stuff in terms of coaching from the stands and how we treat our officials and how we treat our scorekeepers and things like that. if you bring grandpa or and aunts or uncles who come to the game who are super competitive and they are not aware of the rules, just please be aware that it's your responsibility. It is your responsibility to make sure that everybody is on the same page and knows what's going on and knows what we expect. As it says in my slide, I don't want to have to toss grandpa out of the gym, but I will, and I honestly, and I have. It's happened more than once, and so it's again, just please be mindful. The most important thing to us are the few things that I just talked about on the last slide in terms of you keeping the gym a safe space by cheering for everyone, encouraging everyone, and keeping any negativity that you have to yourself. If you cannot handle this experience, you may be asked to leave. I've cleared whole gyms before because parents and parent groups have not been able to uphold what it is that we ask. The pandemic taught us that spectators are not necessary. Our kids played with no spectators throughout the pandemic, and many of them reported that it was actually kind of nice because there was no pressure and there was no screaming and yelling and no negativity from the fans and things like that. So if we have to deal with issues, there is a chance that you could be suspended, and we could tell you that you're not allowed to come and watch your kids play, and that's terrible, and that's not something that I want to do. But it is something that we have had to do, and it's something that we are more than willing to do again because the space is sacred to us. Between quarters and at timeouts and halftime, there's going to be no shooting of basketballs by spectators. As I said before, you shouldn't even have a basketball. The only person who should have brought a basketball should have been your coach. And so, as brothers and sisters sit there and watch the game, sometimes they want to dribble the ball and stuff like that. The ball inevitably ends up on the court, causing a disruption. And no, again, not here. It's not how we handle things. It's not how we do things at Lady Falcons Elite Hoops. And again, we're not trying to be the fun police, and we're not trying to squash, a sibling's fun. But during timeouts and at halftime, coaches are trying to talk to the girls, and they're giving them important instructions. When somebody is shooting at the basket behind them, it's distracting. It's hard enough already for the coaches or for the girls to keep their focus on their coaches. And so when there's extra distractions going on in the background, it just, again, it's just not what we're about. It's not what we do here. During the time that the girls are playing, we want the focus to be entirely on them. Anything that takes the focus off of the girls is something that we want to eliminate. And shooting hoops between quarters and stuff like that, that's one of those things that takes the focus away from what the ultimate goal here is, and that's stuff that we want to just get rid of. If you bring siblings and other children and your other children to the games, you must supervise them at all times. That means that they're not allowed to sit in the lobby at Hope while you're in the gym at Hope. They are not allowed to sit in the lobby at Falsington while you're in the gym at Falsington. They must be supervised at all times. Our gym time is the most precious thing that we have. If we lose our gym time, your daughter loses the opportunity to play because we don't have a space to house our games. We have very, very, very little gym time. We do the absolute best that we can with it, and we cannot lose it. We've had situations where our gym time has been threatened because kids have vandalized classrooms, vandalized hallway displays and things like that at schools, and all those things happen because kids are not supervised by their parents. Don't be surprised if one of our referees sends one. If your kid is sitting in the hallway and we happen to walk out and go to the bathroom, I tend to walk out between quarters and just check. I will send your kids back into you and tell your child to go find your parent. Who did you come with? You're not allowed to be out here by yourself. We have places that have stages. Just be aware that if you're sitting on the stage, please do not touch anything that is school property. It's so important that we are able to take care of the buildings and leave them better than we found them every single week that we're there. Like I said, there's few things that are more important than that. If you have an issue that arises during the game, we want you to do your best to, again, be the adult in the room and eat it for 24 hours. Whatever your frustration, whatever your anger is, whatever outrage you have about whatever happened at the game, if that happens to be the case, we ask you to hold on to that. Use the 24-hour rule. The 24-hour rule means that if you are really upset about something, please don't react. Please don't respond in the moment and create a situation that's going to create a negative environment. We ask you to go home, think about it, talk it over with people who you're friends with, get some feedback from them. And if in 24 hours you still feel the same and you still feel like it needs to be addressed, please reach out to your division director. Copy me on the email. My email is ladyfalconselitehoops@gmail.com. and I want to know everything that goes on. If something's happening in the gym, something's happening that is not within our standards and within what we expect, I want to know about it because we want to handle it, and we will handle it as quickly as we can, and we will handle it usually in an extreme fashion. Typically, in these situations, the punishment does not fit the crime. The punishment is usually more severe than the crime, just because we want to set the tone that the standards are high, and we are not going to accept things that are lower than our standards. And we feel that everybody will rise to those standards, and that's the expectation that we have. After the game ends, we ask you to please stay off the playing surface. Again, you might want to go and meet your kids. I'll tell you that my biggest pet peeve, as I have coached girls basketball, is when my team is trying to warm up and the parents from the previous game are standing at the foul line talking. I've had my team really like warm up around spectators from the previous game, who are, in my opinion, kind of being rude by not respecting the fact that there's another game that's coming up right after your game. So, in addition to that, every bit of dust and dirt that we bring onto the floor makes the playing surface more slippery. You'll see this, that if you play at 9 o'clock in the morning, your team doesn't slip around that much. If you play at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's a little bit more slippery. Whatever we can do to reduce the amount of traffic on and off the court, we want to do that. Like I said, it's also a fact that we have games scheduled every single hour. Sometimes we're running a little bit ahead. Sometimes we're running a little bit behind. Especially if we're behind, we need no spectators on the playing surface at any point. Your kids will come to you. When your kids come to you, I would strongly encourage you to, say thank you, say goodbye to the referee, say goodbye to the scorers, thank them for their time, and then you're going to get in the car and you're going to ride home. And this is one of the most dangerous times in youth sports, because this is not really a time for you to criticize or analyze or talk about your child's play. 24-hour rule applies here too. If your child wants to talk about it, that's great. What I would do is just make sure that you frame the game. And what I mean by frame the game is that every single situation that you have, every single experience that you have, especially as an athlete, it's not good, it's not bad. It's used for growth. Adversity produces growth, as long as that adversity is framed the right way. If your child struggles or your team struggles, and you get in the car and immediately start bashing the other girls in the team or bashing the coach because he didn't do a great job, that sets a really negative tone, and it also creates a situation in which your child is going to make excuses, and use excuses to justify their lack of success in a situation. I basically tell my kids the same thing all the time. One, we're not talking negatively about anybody, and two, if you were upset with how your team played, step one in helping your team play better is get better. You get better. You go to practice and you get better, or you work out on your own and you get better, and that's how we always handle things in our house. Like I said, wins great, losses awesome. Winning is not the goal here. Development is the goal. I don't know if you've noticed this, but as we talk about our league, this is not a recreational league. We don't talk about this as a recreational league. This is a developmental league, and so the winning part is really not a focus. Your team may go out and lose every game. If you get better, if your team improves over the course of the season, that's what we're looking for here. We're looking for team growth. We're looking for individual growth. I tell our coaches at our coaches meeting, if you are here for for the championship trophy, please let me know, because one, your motives are wrong, but two, if you need a trophy to justify what it is that you've done with your season, please let me know ahead of time. Those trophies are $6.75 a piece. I'm more than happy to order an extra trophy, so that you feel like it was worth it. In terms of our coaches, we ask them to have this mindset. The mindset is, the success of their season is really dependent upon how much the girls who play for them want to play again next year. We want every girl who played to be able to play, to feel good about it and play again next year. That's the kind of experience that we want here. So, just some final thoughts. Just a reminder that youth sports exists for the benefit of children. All right. A lot of times parents will impose their hopes and dreams and their expectations on their kids. That is probably the surest way to make sure that your kids don't like sports anymore. Let them play, let them enjoy it. Please be mindful of the fact that just the socialization part of it is huge. When they get to middle school, if your child is an elementary school kid and they played LFE throughout their life, when they get to middle school, they're going to know so many kids they didn't even realize that they knew because of LFE and because of the other youth programs that exist in our community, which is so fantastic. So just be mindful of that. It's a great experience all around. Uh, we focus on development, not results. I just talked about this. And just get a little bit better every week, every day. Get a little bit better. In my experience, in youth sports, 99% of all the issues are adult driven. They're adult related. And so, again, I'm going to just ask you, please, to be the adult in the room. Help the kids. It's really our job to take every situation and turn it into a positive and turn it into a way that they can grow and that they can improve. And that's really the most important thing. And lastly, as I prepare to go watch my daughter play in her first high school game tonight, it's absolutely crazy to me how fast it goes. It's unbelievable, and it only is going to last so long. So please make sure that you enjoy it. Please make sure that what your kids experience throughout this is going to produce great memories in them. And as you guys look back on this experience, you look back with like a lot of smiles and a lot of just joy because of how great it's been. You really have the ability here as the parent and as the adult to make sure that that experience is great, and no pressure. Hey, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us for year 10 of LFE Hoops. We have so many great things in store for the year. We're really looking forward to it. So thankful for all the people who help get the season ready. We're not quite ready yet, but we still got some time. Hey, enjoy it. I'll see you around one of these weekends. Say hello, and here we go.